The title for this message today is called Atomic Habits. Atomic Habits. I don't know if anybody's heard of the book. It's a bestseller. It's like a self-help book, but it got my attention because it was talking about habits. And habits is something that's always been a curious thing to me, because I know you can have good habits, you can have bad habits, and I just like to know as much about them as I can, because it seems like I am always having to work on them in some way or the other. But in this book, the author, Mr. Clear, writes, habits are the small decisions and actions we make daily, often without conscious thought. They shape our behavior and contribute to our overall well-being. Now, the term atomic in this context refers to the idea that habits are like atoms. Just like atoms are the building blocks of matter, habits are the building blocks of our lives. They may start small, but their effects compound over time. An atomic habit is a little habit that is part of a larger system. So in this book, he talks about tackling bigger problems in small pieces. And this is something I've been familiar with for a long time. This is actually a method that I've been using for years to overcome my problems. And it works for me because I realized that some time ago, cold turkey did not work for me. And the reason cold turkey didn't work for me was because I'd be knocking out my problems, and then when I slipped up, I felt like I was starting over. I felt like I was starting over from the beginning, and it was very discouraging. So I began what I called my OSPP, Overcoming Sin Payment Plan. Now, when I began to implement this plan, I started knocking out my problems a little at a time, and then whenever I would slip up, I would simply go back to my last payment and start over from there. And the point is, when I used this method, I always felt like I was making progress. I always felt like I was moving forward, even if it was just a little at a time. And that's the point of this book that the author makes in this book. He says if you can feel yourself steadily making progress in something you're attempting to do, even when there's letdowns and even when there's failures, and there will be, because we're human, you can easily get yourself up and keep moving, because the mindset is you're moving forward. You're constantly knocking these things out. Now, in the OSPP message, I used a pizza sliced into many pieces that represented an unwanted problem I was trying to remove, one slice at a time. Now, pizza is an item that we have to stay away from during the days of unleavened bread. You can't enjoy a nice pizza without some kind of puffy bread underneath it. And don't start talking about cauliflower pizza dough and all of that, because that's just not right. Right? So we start with a whole pizza that represents some sort of sinful behavior we're trying to shake. An old habit, maybe. So in the OSPP, it's about eliminating the pizza completely over time, but doing it slice by slice, using whatever creative and effective methods that you can come up with. Basically, you're lessening the size and the strength of the problem, so you're making it easier to tackle. For example, let's just say, start with the first slice. I did good by not eating a pizza for 7 days, so I've reached that goal, and bam, the first pizza slice is gone. So the next time I start thinking about, I don't need to eat pizza every day, so I'll just cut it out just for the one day. Bam, another piece is gone. So you get that established. Then you say, well, I can find a healthy replacement for that piece of pizza, again, bam, another piece is gone. Now that I'm practicing this healthy alternative, now I'm saying maybe I don't need 2 pieces a week. I can even do without that. Bam, there goes another one. Maybe I can do without pizza for longer than that. 3 days, and you keep finding reasons to remove another piece. Piece by piece, slice by slice, you keep removing aspects of the problem until it's gone. So, in the first chapter of Atomic Habits, it goes into why small habits make such a big difference. It explains that habits are like the compound interest of self-improvement, but you have to be careful because habits are a double-edged sword. They can work for you or they can work against you. If all you're doing is creating bad habits, for example, even small ones, well, that can compound to a much bigger problem down the road. And that's what I probably spent my life doing, creating bad habits until I have these big problems that I'm having to work out, and now I'm trying to go in reverse. So compounding interest, as most investors know, when you invest even small amounts consistently into something, it accumulates to a sizable amount over time. Getting just 1% better every day can change your life dramatically. And that 1% can be related to health, it can be related to prayer, Bible study, exercise, meditation, good nutrition, you name it. Whatever and anything that makes you better. Colossians 3:5 says, "So put to death the sinful earthly things lurking within you." Now some say that you don't break a bad habit, you replace it with a good one. And we know that's very effective. Now next, the book goes into how your habits shape your identity. And it says your current habits, your current behaviors, your habits reflect your current identity. The key to building good habits that last is focusing on creating a new identity. Your current behaviors are simply a reflection of your current identity. What you do now is a mirror image of the type of person that you believe you are, either consciously or subconsciously. So you change your thinking from who you are to who you want to be. Romans 12:2 says, "Don't copy the behavior and customs of this world, but let God transform you into a new person by changing the way you think. Then you will learn to know God's will for you, which is good and pleasing and perfect." So 2 of the steps that it gives you in doing this, and it calls it simple steps. I'd like to say it's simple steps, but we know it's not that easy. But 2 basic steps in this process is, number 1, decide the type of person you want to be. Take the fruit of the Spirit, for example. Do you want to be loving, kind, peaceful, patient, and so on? Then step number 2, prove it to yourself with small wins. Prove it to yourself with small wins. Your identity emerges out of your habits, and every action is a vote for the type of person that you wish to become. The most effective way to change your habits is to focus not on what you want to achieve, but on what you wish to become. So next, the book talks about another potential problem. If you're having trouble changing your habits, then maybe the problem isn't you. Maybe the problem is your system. Bad habits repeat themselves again and again, not because you don't want to change, but because you have the wrong system for change. So the idea is to build a better system for change. And if you want better results, forget about setting goals for the moment. Focus on the system instead. Focus on the process. Goals are about the results you want to achieve. Systems are about the process that leads to those results. So build an effective system for lasting change. And of course, ask God for insight on this. Ask Him for understanding in this so that He can help you. He wants to help you. Now, in another section of the book, it explains how small changes don't seem to mean much until you come to a defining moment. And this is a moment when you're at a fork in the road and you have to make a decision one way or the other. You have to take one direction or the other. And of course, this is a critical moment and it is a part of the process. So the thinking is that back when we have the pizza, we're dealing with the one slice right now at that critical moment. It's better than dealing with the whole pizza because you're likely to fail. It's hard because your old self is in a wrestling match with your new self. And so, who's going to win this one? Is it going to be you, or did you slip up? Were you caught up in a weak moment and made the wrong decision? It is vital that you learn why you made that mistake and get up, dust yourself off, regroup, and keep moving forward. You can't go backward. You don't want to go backwards. That's not an option. But you can learn from it and realign yourself to get back on the right track. And sometimes that takes sheer willpower, which is something for some, I hear people saying all the time, this is a habit I've been dealing with for years, and that's what this is for. If you have a habit that you've been dealing with for years, try this and see what happens. And where are you going to get that help? Where are you going to get that willpower? In Philippians 4:13 it says, "For I can do everything through Christ who gives me strength." I can do everything, anything, through Christ that gives me strength. Christ gives you the strength you need, combined with the confidence you have from all of the previous small wins that you've accumulated until this defining moment happened. And now you want to make up for this blunder. You want to get past this. You want to find a way to work through this. And that's the point. You keep working through this pizza until you get to the end, until the pizza is no more. You're doing the work. And while knowledge and motivation has real benefits, what really counts is action. Just do it, just like the Nike thing says. Are you not good at whatever you're trying to do? Just do it. Just do it. Just keep doing it. Give yourself time to learn through action and experience, and more importantly, repetition. Keep doing it until it becomes a habit. A habit is a behavior that has been repeated enough times to become automatic.